So let's say you and I were, trying to drive leads for video. Great, let's do that. It's not my business, but if hypothetically I want video leads, video production leads, yeah, I would create.
Welcome to the Digital Accomplice Podcast. Today we're joined by Andy Crestodina from Orbit Media. Thank you for joining us, Andy.
I'm glad to be here.
Excellent. So I like to start out with a real softball question. What would be a recent content marketing success that you've enjoyed?
I'm getting good responses on the outreach for contributor quotes for my blogger survey, and it's fun to reconnect with people. It's like if you send someone charts with new data, it's like, hey, Jay Bear, Rand Fishkin, Ann Handley, look at this chart. What do you think? And they get right back to me. Thrilled.
Yeah, that feels good. So on the flip side, what would be a content marketing challenge that you're facing right now? And what are you doing about that?
Well, I'm very accustomed to it, but every now and then I post something and it's just crickets, just flat. I loved that thing and no one else did, and that's fine. I mean, I wouldn't say no one else did, but when you get like something that's like far below trend on the click-through rates, or like this, like I did like a YouTube video that explained how to analyze when your visitors take action on your website and use AI to make cool heat map charts. People turn into leads at these, on these days of week and times of day. I think no one wants to click on something that says like lead generation timing analysis. It's just too boring. It was a mistake. I should have given it. If it had a different name, it probably would have done much better.
Well, you could rename it and put it back out there.
I think I will. I should. I've been meaning to. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So aside from this video podcast, how else are you using video right now, and how would you like to be?
Well, I write an article every 2 weeks, and depending on my calendar, honestly, I'm being a bit opportunistic because it's not a very rigorous approach. But if I have time and if it lends itself well, if I maybe have some slides made already because I was going to do the thing at a conference, then I'll make a video for it. And so there's video versions of maybe a solid third of my articles, I'd say at this point. And they're sort of long. They're like 12-minute videos frequently. I don't really worry about the length too much. I try to keep them from getting too long. And it's just me kind of going through the methods. And sometimes I think it's really helpful because, if you're writing a thing about how to create a GA4 exploration that shows mobile traffic conversion rates from paid, it's like, wow, dude, that is a lot of boring screenshots. But people get the video, and I think they like that. Those aren't exactly the kinds of videos that perform best in YouTube. So that's a big part of it. It's like video for content marketing. But really, video for conversion, I got to say, Dane, is a much better use of video. The sales-focused videos, the story, the origin, the testimonials, video testimonials, anything that's more bottom of funnel for any brand where trust is really important, or any offer that's kind of complex. As you know, there's just no other way to do it.
Right. So then what are you doing with AI right now, and what's working for you there and what's not?
Well, I love AI to help me do the things that I did for years by hand. I love AI for showing people fast ways to kind of get analysis that used to be a bit more tedious. So a few minutes ago, I was on a call with a client. They have someone new. She asked for some tips. They're getting a lot of weird advice from an SEO. And I said, well, this is what really matters in SEO. It's about the content itself. And here are the phrases you already rank for. And here are the semantically related phrases. Let's give those to AI. Now let's give AI the page. Now let's have AI recommend copy edits to this page based on the phrases you almost rank high for. It's magic. It's just, and you can dismiss half the recommendations, but some of the other ones are quite good. So I'm using AI to do analysis. I don't really use it for writing. I use it to generate ideas. I don't want it to write my social posts, and I use it to find gaps. What's missing from this important page? What questions did I fail to answer that my audience really cares about? And in almost every case, I'm really giving it the persona first because its responses are much, much better if you teach it who you're talking to.
Right. And then with the content that you're putting out there into the world, what are you doing with repurposing and what's working and what's not working?
Well, those long form posts repurpose quite well into videos, especially the really pedantic ones. My writing's it's like technical writing, some of these things, it's like exactly where to click to do things. I got to admit, I'm amazed as many people find them useful as they do.
Right.
So lots of repurposing for that. Also, I have a weekly LinkedIn newsletter, but I only write an article every 2 weeks. So every other week, my LinkedIn newsletter is actually me going into the archives and grabbing something from the past. My rule, it's got to be a minimum of 1.5 years old because I don't want it to be too repetitive. That's enough time for things to have changed a lot, and even if you clicked a year and a half ago, it's probably going to feel fresh. And I update the post, with a new headline and images and data, whatever I've got to freshen it up. So I'm repurposing every other week. My LinkedIn newsletter is something that's been basically re-syndicated, you could say, and that works. That works quite well. I mean, I don't see any noticeable difference between the net new stuff and um, the reruns. But I'm putting quite a bit of effort into all of it. I got to say, these are painstaking little projects.
Right. Yeah, I'd imagine. And then with all the content that you are putting out there, how are you measuring the ROI and the content performance of that stuff?
In every way I can. For search optimized articles, I will track the key phrases and then go check the rankings after 2 weeks and 4 weeks. For anything that goes out as a newsletter, I'm watching open rates and click through rates. For anything that sends traffic to the site, I'm tracking sessions, engagement rate, and conversion rates. And for the on-site stuff like LinkedIn newsletters and posts, you can start to see like the metrics that the platform gives you. Interesting, if you do a LinkedIn newsletter, which I highly recommend for B2B brands, the impressions will be low, but the views will be high because most people don't see it from the stream. They get it as an email or as a notification and they click directly. So most of my things have 10 times the views than the impressions, which you'd think would be weird. If I publish new original research, I track new links to it for my sales pages, homepage, service pages. Those things I'm tracking the click-through rates on calls to action. In the end, we live and die based on lead gen. So I'm, of course, watching the overall website conversion rate plus the conversion rate from various traffic sources and landing pages. I'm a measurement guy and I can find stuff quick. So it's not super time consuming, but I can tell you how well anything worked.
Yeah. Well, I started my LinkedIn newsletter on your recommendation, so thank you. There's some metrics for you.
Good for
So,
you. That's great. Glad to hear it.
yeah. So we talked about a few of the main things happening in marketing right now. What would you say would be your biggest piece of advice for marketers, content marketers today?
Well, I think that having an AI friendly persona is just breathtakingly useful. If you work hard at it, garbage in, garbage out, so make sure it's really accurate and it all makes sense. In the end, there's probably 20 or 40 words in there that are doing all the hard work. But make a persona, you can strip out the name of your brand, that describes well the information needs of your audience, their hopes and dreams, their fears and concerns. It will include their emotional triggers, what's the true story happening in their life, and what's their decision criteria for selecting a company like yours. Now that you have that persona, give that to the AI along with anything else. Give that to the AI with a web page, or give that to the AI with an email or an article, or give that to the AI with a report, and just ask it to talk to it about that from the persona's point of view. If you give AI your homepage plus a detailed persona, it will tell you with just simple prompting exactly the most important things that you missed based on your audience's information needs. What? Wait a minute. Hold on. I got to change this now. I did this the other day. There's a company that makes like fabrics for hotels. We know the buyer. They're this textile kind of, product developer, furniture person, drapes, rugs, things. They did not mention durability. They did not mention flame retardant, and so it's like a light bulb moment. And as soon as you know what are the most important information needs that you failed to address for your key audience on your key page, don't do content marketing. Do that. Do that first. Do it for all those pages and then go back to writing articles.
Yeah, there's a hole in your bucket.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's great advice, and thank you for sharing your insight on the set 7 questions. So what I'd like to do now is kind of transfer a little bit more about what's top of mind for you, where you're headed. What would you say is occupying your attention these days about where you're headed with your marketing efforts?
The universe is telling me to launch a LinkedIn Live. I get it. I think that I should. There again, this video. I love how StreamYard has that feature. StreamYard just jacked its prices up. I've heard people are cranky. But I love how it has that feature where the person you're talking to can also go live to their audience. That's pretty nice. I mean, I could just imagine the reach is much better.
Yeah.
But of course, being a recorded format, you don't really even expect the live metrics to be the main success factor. These things, you can repurpose them in all kinds of ways. So I'll probably do something with that soon. We have a little annual conference. It doesn't need to be big. It's like 100 people. It's like a 1 day single track event in a beautiful classroom with the kind of, auditory, like amphitheater seating. So I'm organizing that right now, planning ahead more than I did before. Doing it in the spring makes it easier because I can reach out to people in advance, and I'm not going to overlap with some huge conference that's taking all the speakers. And then also, I mean, this is conference season, so over the next few months, I'll be at Content Marketing World, Agents of Change Conference, Marketing Process B2B Forum, Brighton SEO, just a lot of just trying to help and be useful and say yes to friends who organize events. And so I'll be out and about.
Excellent. I wanted to ask you about this sort of vague, big idea of authenticity when it comes to content and positioning and things like that. What's your take on? I mean, how do you approach being authentic, but also, I don't know, making it brand safe or appropriate or not too authentic, however you want to say it?
Hard to take this advice, but the brand that makes a statement, like a position, takes a position on something, the brand that comes out for something and therefore sort of against something, uh, these brands sound different. The personal brands that do this sound different. So I give these examples sometimes. Here's a few. I'm going to make statements that really are highly differentiated from most content, highly differentiated from AI content. If I say things like, one example I gave at an event, GA4 is better than Universal Analytics. Wait, what? What did he just say? Or that marketers overspend on technology. Wait a minute, I thought I needed all these tools. Just like to come out force, like make a strong statement. Bounce rate's a dumb metric. Just say something that you believe. It's different. That's authenticity, right? Is when you say something, when you're kind of taking a stand on a little bit, like just even on small topics. It strikes. It's a human point of view. That's what we mean by authenticity, right? It's like actually a perspective.
Right.
So that's kind of where I try to go, even in small ways. And I think people that do that get much, much different results than others.
And then what's your take on this idea that marketers are overwhelmed by all the MarTech stack and all the advice and AI? There's so much noise, like, and everyone's telling me to prioritize in a different way. How do you, when you're being asked to prioritize in every direction, how do you even approach starting to do that?
Well, it's one of the biggest problems in marketing. I love you brought it up. There are so many things you can do, right? What does a marketer do? People hire marketers and then really don't know what they do. Let's say you're a marketer. Your job is to generate leads for this brand. What do you do in the morning? What's the first thing you do? Here, I believe that's. I mean, we don't use tools for their own sake. We use tools to help us make decisions, and what to do is one of the most important decisions. So I'm talking to a company. This is like minutes ago. They're concerned that traffic is down. Okay, search traffic is down. Okay, let's look. We open a tool. It's Google Analytics. Is top line search traffic down? Yes, it is. But traffic to which pages? Our traffic to which pages are down? Oh, traffic is mostly down to these silly pages that we don't care about. They attract visitors that we don't, on a topic, they're like old articles. No problem. That's nothing to worry about. Like we now can stay focused on this. We didn't get distracted. Or traffic is down to this really important page. Okay. Traffic from which traffic source? Search. Okay. Traffic from which key phrase? Okay. Look at the search results. Is there an opportunity there? Or are we already kind of, as high as we're likely to get? Okay. So now we know, okay, this is an important page. It's a qualified visitor. Visitors who land on that page are likely to become a lead. Now I'm prioritizing. What's my next best action? Improve the page so that it ranks higher. What improvements might we make? Use a tool or use AI to recommend edits to the page, right? What phrases did we miss? Again, AI-powered gap analysis. What semantically related key phrases did this miss? So this is just a long way of saying, to prioritize, break down your challenges and look closely at the data you're getting to see if that is really an opportunity.
Interesting.
Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Like, oh, this is, the mobile experience is bad. Okay, we could spend some time and money on that. But first, let's look. What does the site get much traffic from mobile? Yes, it does. 1 in 10 visitors are from mobile. Okay, what pages do they land on? Mostly this one weird article. Okay, let's stop worrying then. We can stay focused. We're not going to get distracted. So I use data to prioritize. I know, in fact, I would say the purpose of analytics is to help you prioritize. That's the reason you have that tool, is to sharpen your focus on the marketing actions that are the most likely to give you an impact. Give me someone's analytics, and I can tell you the next action they should take in digital. Without analytics, we just have to kind of take a guess.
It sounds kind of obvious when you say it that way. But yeah,
Uh,
I
that's
mean,
a little statement, right?
yeah, no, I mean, I feel silly for asking the question now. So what would you say is the most important thing to do mid funnel to start
Hmm.
testing offers and figure out like, and before you get the data, you got to like try something, right? And so
Sure.
I'm really curious about your approach to mid funnel activities.
I love that. And Dane, I'll say almost no one asks. Like that's an underrated thing. Everybody knows top of funnel and the channels that drive that. Bottom of funnel, yeah, conversion path and landing pages and click through rates. Everyone kind of knows that. Mid funnel, I'm going to say one of the most useful things you can do is sort of highly differentiated thought leadership or original research with video, influencer collaborations, like formats like this one. These are very strong middle of funnel things because you capture attention in a more compelling medium. Here we are in video. And you can talk about you got a better chance of being memorable. That's mid funnel, right? We got to stay top of mind. And you can show expertise on those important topics. This is how video works. This is the impact of it. Here's how you measure video. So let's say you and I were, trying to drive leads for video. Great. Let's do that. It's not my business, but if hypothetically I want video leads, video production leads, yeah, I would create an upgraded format like podcast or video podcast or LinkedIn Live. We break down pros and cons, good and bad, how to measure, all the questions around it. Do it together with some names, some well-known brands, some personal brands, some subject matter experts. That is great middle of funnel content because people will see it and they didn't scan through a bunch of words. They heard you, they felt it, they could tell your passion. You gave great examples, like they talked about it later. You just stayed in their mind. So I would say thought leadership, original research, influencer collaborations with video. That's how to strengthen the middle of your funnel.
And then how do you look at the threshold between middle of funnel and late funnel? When does it cross over? What needs to happen to go late funnel?
Well, it happens in the mind of your audience. So you really don't have, I've thought a lot about this. They say salespeople should always be closing. Salespeople can't close deals. Only the prospect can, right? Oh, let's generate some leads. I can't really generate a lead. Only the prospect decides when it's the moment of truth for them. So all we can do is maintain high activity levels, do all the things we're supposed to do, stay out there, start early, go deeper, persist, keep doing it for longer than the competitors, and hope for the best. Because, if someone's watching this and, if I throw in a call to action like, hey, if you know, you're a B2B brand trying to improve lead generation, we'll build you a higher ranking, higher converting website. That doesn't really that's not why someone's watching. It's not that likely that they'll take that action. Your goal is really just to stay top of mind.
And then late funnel, it seems that trust is like a key metric or a key thing that needs to happen. But trust can come in so many different ways. It can come from logos and testimonials and examples, all that kind of stuff. I find myself wondering, like, does it need to be all of them, or what percentage of each? Or if I don't have this, can I do more of that? Like, how do you look at that trust issue at a late stage?
Yeah, I sometimes I teach this, like the highest converting pages, answer questions and use supportive evidence for those answers. Answer evidence, call to action. That's the structure of a high converting page. Like, oh, well, and you can do that with logos. Oh, I can't use my client's logos. Okay, do something else. You can add testimonials and put your client's face in. No, they won't let us. Okay, do something else. Just do something different. Do something. You can use data. You can use reviews. You can use the years you've been in business. You can use the number of clients you've worked with. The point is simply don't make unsupported marketing claims. It's not that,
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't, that's the job. It's to support your marketing claims with some kind of evidence.
Right. So you don't need to check all the boxes. You just need to
No.
check enough of a box to give them
Yeah.
permission to believe.
So the visitor lands, pixels load on screen, eyeball sees pixels, the brain, starts processing. What's happening in the brain? First question, am I in the right place? Yes, they can tell. Like you weren't super vague, hopefully, in your language, right? The homepage header is specific and descriptive. Okay, I see that they do that. Are they legit? Have they done it before? Have they done it for people like me? Now the mind is scanning for evidence, and the evidence is frequently the main differentiation on these pages. Anybody could write the words you wrote on your homepage. A startup born yesterday could probably write most of those same words, but it's the supportive evidence that really makes you different. So yeah, if that page is really filled with as much supportive evidence as you can add, the awards you've won, the certifications you've earned, the memberships, the associations you're part of, the communities, the places your content's appeared, high above the fold, several places throughout the page, that's when they believe, right? If as long as the homepage basically says what you do, and the most of the rest of the page is about how well you do it or how you do it differently, and prove that you really show how you do it differently. The person, if they're a qualified visitor, they're very likely to just go directly from the homepage to the form. Like, go look at the path exploration in GA4. It's often a very, very short path from homepage, contact, thank you. It's weird to me how transactional people are in the moment, how busy the visitor is. Watch screen recordings, session recordings. It's amazing to me how fast people move through websites.
Right.
If you haven't watched session recordings, it's an eye opener.
So you've made it pretty clear to me watching your content over the years that you're very analytical and you're a data guy. And so like I do believe that like if someone wanted to bring their business to you and put the body on the table and say, show me where it hurts, like what does that process look like for you? What are you going to ask to see so that you get a clear picture?
Well, the fastest way for me to diagnose issues, I like that body on the table. I want to check both the cheese and the mousetrap. So I'll put the homepage or a couple of key pages into a tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs and have it show me, is traffic rising or falling? Is it ranking for commercial intent key phrases? What's working, what's not working? That's minutes of analysis. You can tell like the patient is sick. It needs, like, there's a traffic problem. This thing ranks for none. I saw a site today, like the homepage title tag said home. It did not indicate any relevance. Category leader, the homepage ranked for virtually nothing except the brand. Okay, that's the cheese. Second question, the mousetrap. The mousetrap is actually much more nuanced. The reasons why people do and don't act on websites is not as simple of a process for discovery. But if I'm talking to someone on a call and I make a quick persona using AI, I use a persona prompt, tell me the job title, the company size, the geography, the category, their challenges, responsibilities, and it makes a basic persona. We look at it, we fix it. It was wrong. It wasn't quite right. And then do a full page screenshot of that key page, give that to the AI with the persona, and say, to what extent does this page meet or not meet the expectations and information needs of this visitor? To what extent does this page add supportive evidence, use descriptive labels? I've got these very detailed prompts. And then it tells me basically from the UX and conversion perspective. Now I can basically, it takes 15 minutes, maybe most, right? Now I can look at that page from both the cheese and mousetrap and say, your next biggest opportunity is with a round of SEO copy edits, because the page scored very high on my little mini AI audit. Or stop trying to drive traffic. Turn off all your ads until you make sure this page addresses their key information needs and supports those answers with evidence. Those two things combined, actually, it's empowering. I'm very once you understand it well, you can look at almost any website and with confidence know exactly which actions would generate more leads for that brand.
Right. Yeah.
It's not mysterious. It's actually quite obvious once you understand, you've trained yourself to see it in those ways.
Right. So if there's people out there listening and they like what they're hearing and they want to put the body of their business on your table and look at the cheese and the mousetrap, what would be a good way for them to get in touch with you? And would you be willing to entertain that?
I like how we mixed up the metaphors there.
No, why not?
I'm easy to find. Orbitmedia.com is our company. We're a team of 55 designers, programmers, strategists, copywriters, analytics pros, SEOs. We do mostly like 100K high performing B2B lead gen websites. I mean, these are search optimized, conversion optimized platforms that perform for 5+ years if they're done well. LinkedIn is my best social network. Anyone's welcome to connect with me. The blue button says follow. You can skip that and go to the connect and just send me a connect invite, and then we can chat on DMs. And then you mentioned YouTube. I don't know if there's Orbit Media has a YouTube channel. That's where I'm posting those 12-minute videos.
Yeah, I've seen them. They're great. They're packed with insight, and you guys definitely go check them out. So, Andy, thank you so much for sharing your insights and taking the time to do this. Always a pleasure to see you in video format. Although I didn't see any graphs today, so I'm kind of sad.
Those graphs are everywhere. Dane, this was just about us. I loved it.
Awesome.